commentary, anti-afterlife, anti-paranormal skeptics are simply terrorists of the mind. From Victor Zammit pictured. People everywhere are just puzzled why anyone would want to willfully lie, cheat, and violently oppose the validity of the paranormal and the afterlife, denying the evidence when the evidence is so clear. So, why the attempted vicious ridicule? Why the subtle malice and character assassination? Why the disparaging denigration against decent, highly intelligent scientists and others who accept the paranormal afterlife evidence and who are bringing light into the darkness of the world? The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, has identified the 7 stages that hate groups go through in an article in their law enforcement bulletin entitled The 7-Stage Hate Model. In the article, first published in 2003, FBI Special Agents John R. Schaefer and Joe Navarro point out that among hate groups there is a 7-stage process that all hate groups go through. 1. The haters gather. 2. The hate group defines itself. 3. The hate group disparages the target. 4. The hate group daunts the target. 5. The hate group attacks the target without weapons. 6. The hate group attacks the target with weapons. 7. The hate group destroys the target. Taken mainly from www.bolenreport.com, linked below this video. Tim Bolen now narrates the story. Extreme skeptics follow this pattern right up to stage 5. Translated, this means that the extreme skeptics are using the same strategies as FBI-identified hate groups and can reasonably be called intellectual terrorists. In its extreme form, the attacks are a form of skeptical terrorism. Example: extreme Australian skeptics are an organized hate group. Just get this news headline. Australian skeptics dragged into court over rape, mutilation, and death threats against the Australian Vaccination Network leadership. October 25, 2012, the rape, mutilation, and death threats against Meryl Dongri, president of the Australian Vaccination Network. AVN make a very clear statement about the reality of the International Skeptic Organization. The activities of Australian skeptics, with their Stop the AVN subsidiary attacks, took the lid off their merely secret plans. Tracing the Dianifire and Just Burn phone calls back to top Australian skeptic leader, shoe salesman Daniel Rafaelle, the Stop the AVN head's home telephone brought everything out into the open. Remember, the Australian skeptics, at their own amazing meeting in 2010, gave Rafaelle their top award for his activities against Meryl Dongri. These 2 phone calls contained serious and violent threats to Mrs. Dongri, and a police report was filed the same morning that the messages were received. At the time, Mrs. Dongri and her husband were in Bathurst in SW as part of a speaking tour in the Central West. Her children were home alone, and she was quite concerned about their welfare due to the fact that someone out there had access to her home by phone and was obviously wishing her harm. Mrs. Dongri traced the phone number from which these calls originated. Her trace indicated that they had come from the home of a person who is a manager of the Stop the AVN Facebook page. The police have done a thorough investigation of this information and have, as of September 28, 2012, officially confirmed that the calls did indeed originate from this person's home. Wikipedia says a hate group is an organized group or movement that advocates and practices hatred, hostility, or violence towards members of a race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or other designated sector of society. Here we have skeptics defining themselves. But let's get to the point. The skeptic organization trains their people in these kinds of tactics. Those workshops they hold are, plainly and simply said, hatred training camps any way you look at them. To me, what happened in Australia was inevitable. For within the skeptic organization, hatred expression is encouraged every step of the way. They don't argue any issue, they automatically virulently attack opponents every time. And the skeptics particularly like to attack women. The reasons for that are obvious. Any normal person who has had an experience on the internet dealing with a skeptic knows exactly what I mean, an almost visceral response way beyond acceptable social behavior to start with. From that point you can assume they will proceed through the 7-stage hate model described above. Once again, the skeptic organization trains their people in these kinds of tactics. More, they fund these kinds of tactics. See below from a skeptic discussion group. While Australian Skeptic camps had been in discussion for a while, Skeptic Camp Australia was kicked off at the Amazing Meeting Australia 2010 during a panel talk on skeptical activism. A question came from moderator Brian Dunning: what would you do for activism if you were handed a budget? My answer was that I would organize a skeptic camp to inspire, inform, and motivate skeptics in Australia. And I said that if people gave me some money, there and then, that's exactly what I do. Immediately, panelists and audience members offered money, and by the end of the weekend, Skeptic Camp was firmly implanted as an upcoming event. By Jason Brown. The Australian Skeptics have scheduled another amazing meeting, this time in Melbourne from Friday, November 30th through Sunday, December 2nd, 2012. Their key speaker is a man who has personally attacked the AVN on several occasions, a Dr. Ken Harvey, described as currently holds the position of Adjunct Associate Professor, School of Public Health, La Trobe University. However, when I looked up on the La Trobe University website the term Adjunct Associate Professor, School of Public Health, I found, as I expected, that adjunct means not really, actually, employed here, in a paid position. The term associate professor means not good enough to actually be invited onto the staff as a professor. Reminds me of Bobby Barrett's resume. Typical skeptic qualifications. And if you wish to see the horrifying, threatening images conveyed to AVN head Meryl Dongri by Australian terrorist skeptics that have landed them in court, just go to the link page below this video. And now the printed death threat from the shoe salesman head of the Australian Skeptic terrorist group. Whatever end this campaign comes to, which will include the demise of the AVN, is her decision. She has made the choice to be arrogant and cruel. If the demise of the AVN brings with it the demise of Meryl Dongri herself, she only has herself to blame for that. What a gift. Haters are not the brightest of people. Link below the video to the threatening horror photos sent by this man. It's the true nature of pseudoskeptics laid bare. Brace yourself.